Hey everyone. Before we get into today's episode, we've got some exciting news. Our Messy Middle Matters merch store is live at shop.themessymiddlematters.com. This is all thanks to everyone who wanted their own Don't Make Me Regret Trying to Be Helpful sweatshirt. But we didn't stop there. We've got 3 collections. Don't Make Me Regret, in honor of the sweatshirt that started it all. Words Matter, inspired by our most popular episode. And Embrace the Messy to celebrate the beautiful chaos. Everything's print on demand, so be sure to double check your size before ordering. But if anything goes wrong with the printing, our vendor will work with you to make it right. Sweatshirts, t-shirts, stickers, and more. If you're looking for a different cut or style, just email us at podcast@themessymiddlematters.com and we'll do what we can to bring your vision to life. All right. Now let's get into today's episode from the Messy Middle Matters. I'm Indra.
And I'm Amanda.
And we'd like to welcome you to the Messy Middle Matters. Hey, Amanda, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Indra?
Good, good. You want to know why we're having such a good time getting started? Because we just asked each other how we're doing.
We broke the ice.
Right, we broke the ice. I mean, because how many times have you walked into a room, whether it's real or virtual, and everyone's just sitting there in the room, sitting there awkwardly, like looking at their notebooks or like just like trying to figure out like not to make focus with the camera, like eye contact, and everyone just doesn't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, just like hands folded, staring at your computer, like pretending that you have something important to do because you don't want to talk to anyone else in the room. Like it's just really awkward. Like the awkward silence, it kills me.
No one wants to make small talk, but I inevitably, if it's not my meeting, and sometimes when it is my meeting, like just like, hi, how's everyone? Like, happy Tuesday, or whatever day of the week it is. I should say Wednesday, because that's the day we release all of our podcasts.
Right. Happy Wednesday, Indra.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. But you could have corrected me and said, no, Indra, today is Wednesday. And that's a whole conversation starter. And then everyone has something silly to do until the meeting actually starts.
Right. I know it's one of those things where, a lot of people hate small talk, but without it, you're just stuck in a room in awkward silence.
And like a good icebreaker goes beyond just breaking that awkward silence and that awkwardness in the room. It actually helps everyone like arrive mentally in the room. I think you do a little bit about that with those really brief hellos, but like getting everyone truly present and out of their last meeting, getting to know, if you're not familiar with the people in the room, a little something about them, even if it is just their name, right? You get to learn something about everyone, or at least their demeanor or tone of voice or something. And then, everyone gets a little bit of practice engaging with people in the room because, big secret, folks. Amanda and I talk to each other for just a little bit before we hit record on our episodes because we want to get into that room and be really here for you guys when you start listening to us.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be in the same room, whether that's physical or virtual, right? It can be, I've worked at organizations that had a Slack channel that was like Water Cooler Wednesday or like Friday question. And like, it's just a good way to engage with others and get that practice, get to learn, a little bit more about your coworkers. Just going to say it again. We're not automatons. We are all human.
We are all human. And like, I think that so many of our episodes focus on that and focus on, dare I say, this is community building. Even if it's community for the duration of one meeting and you'll never see each other ever again, you are creating and setting the stage for that 1 hour and making it purposeful.
Yeah, for sure. It's community building. It's just getting to know other people as human beings and not only what they do at work.
Yeah. And I think that, like, let's talk a little bit about like the different shapes and forms. I think we've gotten into some of this, but like, what's your favorite one? Like, do you have any go-tos or favorites that you've used or?
One that I really like. So I think a lot of people dislike icebreakers because like one, small talk, but two, because there's this, some people feel this pressure to seem interesting. And one of my favorite ones is for virtual teams. Show me something on your desk right now. It doesn't have to be my AirPods case, right? Like it doesn't have to be an interesting thing, right?
Yeah.
But if it is an interesting thing, maybe not to you, it could be interesting to someone that you're showing it to, right? Like, something else on my desk is a bowl that I made in ceramics class.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
opens
yeah.
up conversation, right? Like you can ask me follow-up questions. I can tell you more about this. I can tell you about the glaze I put on it, the whole story.
Yeah.
And it's similar to the episode we had on our personality test, right? It's
Mm.
just a conversation starter.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you gave an example that's some of my least favorite icebreakers, and I see its value, but I also cringe every single time that somebody suggests two truths and a lie. I have a hard.
There's the pressure to make your truths interesting.
That's it. I think that like when you said that, I'm like that's why two truths and a lie showed up in my brain. I'm like, that's it. Like you always want to be, you feel this need to perform. And that's one of the things when I think of icebreakers of like when I get nervous about them. And the other is like some icebreakers give me a vulnerability hangover. Right. Like
Oh, yeah.
they like dig so deep into some sort of like, like tell me about like, there was one, a friend of mine was telling me about one, and it had something to do with childhood and whatever it was. And they had to send the organizer, they're like, hey, maybe you want to steer away from that topic. Not everyone has had great childhoods or great marriages or has children or like there's so many of these like icebreaker questions that people think of that seem so light for them, but we're working as familiar as we are with the people we work with. Like, let's assume that you're doing the icebreaker just for a workshop with people that you work with on an everyday basis, but you just want to reset their brains a little bit and just like get them out of their norm. You know them in the context of work. You don't know their full history or what they do after work or whatever it is. You gotta thread the needle on icebreakers and make sure that they're inclusive, that they're not something that's going to trigger someone and make them shut down. They're not going to force somebody to go somewhere that they feel is just like really uncomfortable with.
Right, that they're not controversial. So, like, stay away from the obvious, stay away from politics, stay away from religion, stay away from like anything too personal, stay away from, things that are clearly not safe for work. Just there's a good balance when you're thinking of icebreaker questions,
Yeah.
right? Like they should be inclusive, they should be general enough that most people should be able to answer, like low stakes, doesn't spark the need to perform,
Right.
right? Like another one that I love is, what is a book or a show that you're consuming right now? Like
Ooh.
you don't have to think too hard about it, right? Like what book are you reading? What show are you watching? Like you don't have to like sit there and like think of your two truths and a lie.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, and if you want something, I think that if you want something that's a deeper thing, which is great. I love a technique that I learned from Susan Cain's book. It's where you give the prompt to people before the meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
I've
that
done that
gives them,
before.
yeah, that gives them time to digest and to think about it. Even some of the light ones, you're like, oh, like, like sometimes I like to do seasonal things. And like on a virtual one, what I'll do is I'll have everyone drop onto a virtual board, virtual whiteboard, like a photo or an emoji or whatever. And it gives people time to think about like, oh, what was my favorite vacation? Oh, okay, here you go. Or what is my, like favorite color? Like they get to noodle on that. Because if you ask me what favorite color, like even if I know what my favorite color is, what shade and hue do I want to share with everybody else? Give me some time.
Yeah, I like that approach because it not everyone likes being put on the spot.
Mm-mm.
Like even if it's something super like casual, like what's your favorite color? If you weren't expecting that question and if you weren't expecting to share the answer to that question with the class,
Yeah.
that might change your answer or the way you share or the way that conversation starts.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just 100% true. And then like, I think some icebreakers, you want to set it up in such a way where not everyone has to share.
Mm-hmm.
Because there
Mm-hmm.
are the people who will enjoy the fact that you offered them a prompt, but may not be ready to share it with the class, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, which
right?
is like I personally like those team chat like Slack channels,
Mm,
right? The water cooler Wednesday or the Friday question. Like somewhere I worked had a Slack channel named Friday Question. And I think
mm.
they rotated like who got to ask the question. Like there
Yeah,
was like a
yeah.
little sign up sheet. And the questions that came up, the ones that I remember off the top of my head were like, how do you sort your laundry? And you learn so much about people.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you learn so much about people by the way they answered that question, but it was also like an opt-in, right? Like if you want to share what weird things you do to sort your laundry, like cool. If you don't, you could just be a bystander here.
That makes me think of another one where it was a workshop and they were doing icebreakers in it, and the one of the icebreaker questions was for everyone to cluster in different parts of the room. Do you put your toilet when you put new toilet paper on the roll? Do you go over or under?
Oh, you know,
Polarizing question.
I said stay away from controversial topics. That's a controversial topic.
It's slightly controversial. And then one
Yeah.
person, it is a little controversial, but like it was so funny. The reason that it comes to mind is one person's like, I don't notice and I don't care. Like I was like, they
Oh,
created their own category. I was like,
yeah.
oh, all right, all right. But it was like, it's like you have to find, you have to find the right ones for your organization, for your team, who's ready to do what. And actually, it's funny that I don't care gave permission to people to join that one because like maybe they don't want to talk about over or under. I'm an
Well,
over,
yeah,
by the way.
and just going back to the whole point of icebreakers, right? It's to start that conversation.
Yeah,
It's to lighten the mood a little bit. It's to get people out of whatever mode they were in before and like
yeah,
into shifting your mind into what you're doing next.
yeah. But I think that also icebreakers, if you're the one, well, even if you're in the room, sometimes you want to do this, but especially if you're the person leading it, you need to just monitor the room, read the room, see how it's landing, and help to readjust as needed, right? And especially there are the people who will overshare, like we'll use my toilet paper one. That could be an opening statement for someone, and then they'd share all sorts of not safe for work things that nobody ever wanted to know about this person potentially. Like, you're like, you
Right.
figure out how to nip that one in the bud, nip that in the bud.
Right. Right. Like private message. Hey, so and so, maybe you want to steer away from that.
I see where you're going right now, but we're not going there today. So we're focusing strictly on the roll and the spool and the spindle. We want nothing else. Anyway. So,
Right. But just back to the toilet paper thing,
yeah,
it's a well controversial
sure.
topic, but like it is it's an example of one of those ones that builds community, right?
100%. We all have very strong feelings. Like it's me. Other than that one person, most of us have very strong feelings when we walk into someone's restroom and we're like, you didn't do it the way that I do it. Huh.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
Interesting. And there are
Yeah.
reasons why. What is it? Over, it's easier to get it off. Under, you're less likely to use too much. Scientifically speaking.
Huh. I'm an over.
I'm an over. It's easier to get
Yeah.
to. I can find the end. I can find the end.
Yeah.
I can find the end much easier.
Another go-to is what is your food hot take, which can be controversial.
Oh,
And
interesting.
like yeah, one answer that comes to mind, same, it was a Friday
Uh-huh.
question, and someone was like, I think pizza is gross. And
Ooh.
I and the people sitting around me audibly gasped when we saw that message come through. But
Food
it's
is
just like, wow, now we know, what this person thinks about pizza. And we asked so many follow-up questions. Like, is it all kinds of pizza? Is it, certain toppings? Like what's the deal? Like what made you hate pizza?
food is one of those sticky ones. It's really interesting. That one's a super
Mhm.
personal, maybe more personal than toilet paper. Who knows? Who
I
knows?
think so. Yeah, you know what? You're right.
But anyway, so but like and don't force people to answer the
Yeah.
questions. Like there is a difference between nudging them to participate because you will have your the folks who are reluctant because they're just a little bit, it's unfamiliar. It puts them out of their comfort zone. I mean, a good icebreaker question will do that just a little bit, or an icebreaker activity will do that just a little, just to reset things and bring everyone in a room. But you want to nudge a little, but
Yeah.
when you see it and sense it, don't force anyone. Don't
Right.
force
Like,
anyone.
oh, there are 10 people in this room. 9 people answered this question. So and so, you didn't answer this question. Like, and you don't want to do that.
No, that's the behavior we see in employee satisfaction surveys that I detest. Who didn't complete their survey yet? Who didn't complete their
Right.
Stop hunting. You're hunting for witches. But not everyone knows how to find, a good icebreaker or conduct a good ice, because it's hard. Like, let's be very, very honest. And because like the number of times, especially if you're doing it at a weekly meeting, so that everyone continues to get to know each other or whatever, it's hard to source the material. So I don't know if you have any sort of favorite websites you go to or tools, because heaven knows I got my whole stash sitting here right next to me, or most of my stash sitting here next to me that I can show off.
Yeah, I don't have a favorite website or a tool, but I collect things. So I
Yeah.
have a list as I was
Mm.
prepping for this
Yeah.
episode. I have a list. Do you want to hear some of the good icebreaker questions I have?
Yes, please.
All right. Where's the most interesting place you have worked for like a virtual team, like physical location, right?
That's
So,
fun.
my husband once took his laptop to Rocky Mountain National Park. And a park ranger asked if she could take a photo of him because she's never seen that before.
Modern times. Modern
Uh-huh.
times.
Yep. What is something you cannot live without that costs less than $20?
Mm.
I've seen answers that like mine is Cocoa Floss. It's a specific floss brand, like a bougie floss.
I'm going to
But
send you mine. I've got some extra. I've moved on to a different brand, but I'm going to send you mine now. Yeah.
okay,
This is what you learn in an icebreaker, folks.
exactly right. But answers range from like my favorite mug or this notebook. It's just like an easy one, I think. Maybe it's harder to think about the less than $20. What mundane thing do you think you're fairly good at? Like mine is loading as much stuff into the dishwasher as I can.
That's so funny. I always
Mm-hmm.
threatened to say that I could put printing as a skill set on my resume. I'm
Printing?
very good at printing in all different types of shapes and forms. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. See, we're learning about each other right now from these icebreaker questions. Um, what's the last song that you had stuck in your head? I'm
Oh
gonna
gosh.
spare everyone from this song, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep
I'm not
going,
gonna.
keep going. I'd have to sit here and remember, like,
I'm
what
gonna.
did I get? Because I know I had one stuck this morning. I can't remember what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. If you had to order takeout tonight, where would you
Oh,
order from, and what would you order?
I like that.
Yeah. And if you had to build an ice cream sundae, what would be on it?
Oh, that's fun, because then everyone gets to grab each other's toppings, or like yes and each other and like what they
Uh-huh.
want.
Yes, I've seen that exact thing happen. Just like, oh, I didn't even think about,
I forgot about wet
mixing the
walnuts.
fudge and the fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Ooh. And I think that that's the thing, is like, as you find these questions, like, you create a question bank for yourself, like, and throw it in a Google Doc that's always on your drive, and you get to have it. And you don't need to literally use it. You can just like use it for inspiration. Even if you're not, you can literally use it or use it as an inspiration. So I'm going
Yeah.
to give you some of my favorite things. This is not like, actually, that'll be a bonus thing. So one of my favorite newer things is, so Esther Perel's got a game that she created after the pandemic, because she realized that humans, we forgot how to people. And so it's Where Should We Begin? And the card game is on its second edition already. And they're different suits, I'm going to call them. I don't know how she refers to them, but you can actually peel away. It's easy to peel away. She made it easy to peel away the not safe for work questions.
Oh,
So you can
nice.
actually pull questions, and they're really designed to be thoughtful and like really to get to know each other. I love her stuff. So is another deck that I have. I'll add the link in the show links. I've got all these different one-on-one decks from my career coach, Jen. but I love the mentor pack. That's got good stuff in it. Creative sprint for creative teams. If you got creative teams, you're looking for an activity. These deck of cards are really amazing. The game storming book, it does a lot more than its purpose is not icebreakers, but within the book, it's got a lot of like workshopping activities in here, and there's a website that's free. But they've also got a lot of ideas for like, especially if you're doing like an offsite or something, has fun things. And I'd say like the last bonus thing, which isn't necessarily icebreakers, but it's really about that community building, is Priya Parker's Art of Gathering book. It's really amazing. So
nice. When you pulled out the Esther Perel cards, that reminded me that I have this on my desk. It's another card game. It's called We're Not Really Strangers. I don't know that I would use all of these for work. But I have like pulled out ones that were pretty tame, and I've used them during team building things. The one that comes to mind is, how many speeding tickets do you think I've got?
Oh, that sounds like a dangerous question. You got to like your team to do that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, like any one of these, I don't think that any of them are like lift and shift and you just pull something, but they're pull out what makes the most sense from them. And even if there isn't something that's super useful within a particular resource, it can spur your juices to think of the new thing and think of all those little things. And if all else fails, talk about the weather. Talk about the weather, weekend plans. It's something.
Right.
So
yeah, talk about the weather. But yeah, you're right. These things, I don't think there's a perfect deck of cards or, bank of questions that you could just easily, apply everything. But it does serve for good inspiration.
Yeah. So icebreakers, they are important. Keep them light, keep them easy, keep them moving, keep them purposeful, and keep them focused on creating human connection.
And if all else fails, talk about the weather or about what day it is.
On that note, thank you, Amanda, for yet another fun time spending with me. I love it. And I hope that y'all enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed creating it, and that you'll join us next time when we talk about another topic from the messy middle. Bye.
Bye.